Insert cards are what made the 90s the most iconic era of basketball cards and probably all of sports cards. So today we're going to look at the top 10 most iconic insert sets from the 90s. Let's get right into it. Welcome to the most passionate content for card collectors on YouTube and possibly the whole entire internet. As usual, I am your host, Jake Roy, 90s b-ball cards here on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, a little bit TikTok. Did some last week. See if I get there this week. I've got some plans. So today we're looking at the top 10 most iconic insert sets from the 90s. So the way that I wanted to break this down is go year by year. Now, insert sets, as we know them today, really didn't start until the 91-92 season. So we've got a year or so that we're going to take a hiatus. But the 2 years in the middle of the 90s had some absolutely jaw-dropping insert sets. So it's hard to limit it to just one. So I'm going to have 2 years. We're going to have 2 insert sets. So it's a total of 11, actually, what we're going to have. But we're going to go through year by year, talk about the most iconic insert sets. So without any further ado, let's talk about what iconic really means. So if we're looking at the Merriam-Webster dictionary in the definition of iconic, because if we're talking just amongst some friends, the term iconic gets thrown around and is kind of a convoluted term. So looking at the standard definition, the first one I don't really like. Of, relating to, or having a characteristic of an icon. Then you gotta define icon. I don't want to use the root of the word in the definition. So we look at the second definition. That's what we're going off of. Widely recognized and well established, i.e. an iconic brand. Think of iconic brands: Nike, Coca-Cola, Disney. The list goes on. Those brands, if you see the logo, if you hear the name, you know what we're talking about. You can picture it in your mind. You've seen the product. You've interacted with the products that they have. You know those brands through and through. The second piece of it, widely known and acknowledged, especially for distinctive excellence. Here, when we're looking at the insert sets, these are things that are set apart. They are distinctive. They are excellent. And if you think about stuff when you're thinking about a region for wines, perfect thinking, iconic Champagne Valley, champagne wines, you know what we're talking about. So this is stuff that I could show my wife. She's probably going to say, I've seen that before, or wow, look at that, that's incredible, wants to know more. If you show any sort of a sports card collector, they're probably going to have seen these cards, heard of these cards, know a little bit about them. It's not the first time you're running into them. Think about the 52 Mantle. If you're a basketball card collector, you know that card, even if you're not into baseball cards that much. If you're a baseball card collector, you know the 86 Fleer Jordan. It's iconic. It's something that doesn't need to be defined. You know the Honus Wagner. You know these cards. They are iconic. So that's what we're looking at. That's what we're running off for the definition. Let's get right into the fire. All right, here we go. We're going to jump in from 91-92. So here we've got the 91-92 Upper Deck Holograms, award winner holograms. They're called a couple different things. So these were really the first true insert card that wasn't just one per pack or something like that. The odds weren't exactly stated. They were random inserts in packs. So they ended up boiling down to, maybe about 1 in 10 packs or so. I'm saying that, I'm not saying that that was said anywhere, but that's been my experience, is you get a few in a box. So I remember these when they hit the scene. Upper Deck really caused some waves because holograms were just very 90s. They were so cool. They were really something that stood out. If you saw them in a showcase, or you saw them anywhere, or you saw them coming out of a pack, you knew it was something special and something exciting. People loved this set, and it had just the award winners. So there were a couple of Jordans in the set: John Stockton, Dennis Rodman, David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon. I think Detlef Schrempf was also in the set. So the Jordans obviously are the ones that still to this day and at that point in time really got people excited. So, really cool 90s type of thing, really started the whole craze of inserts. And from there, people wanted more and more of these special looking, interesting design cards. Next one, 92-93, we've got Top Stadium Club Beam Team. And this is really the insert set where the insert craze, where people were buying boxes, ripping through packs to try to hit the insert, really started. These were big. So they were 1 in 36 packs. They only came in Series 2. So obviously Jordan's the highlight. Shaq's rookie year. That Shaq card in the last 2 years has really taken off, but has always been a pretty prominent card as one of the top 2 in that entire set. But you pretty much had every star that you could think of. I think there was at least 1 player from each team, if I remember correctly, in this set. So a pretty large checklist. Like I said, the real big names are going to be Jordan and Shaq, but there are plenty of other names. I love this Dennis Rodman. There's some other great ones that I really love the pictures on. Hakeem Olajuwon is one that I really like. Tim Hardaway's a cool one. Reggie Miller's got a great one. You know, so a lot of great eye candy to love. And, you know, a really cool looking pattern there with a hollow foil. The design of this was supposed to be like a laser show, a beam show, laser beam is really the theme that they were going for. And that is a show that the Topps company sponsored at the halftime of the NBA All-Star game, was a laser beam show. So that was how it kind of tied all together. Really cool that they had a theme that really did correlate back to some in-game or during the game action that they were doing. So really cool stuff there. And, you know, some of these cards, especially the Jordan, the Shaq, fetch quite a bit, especially in high grades. So a really cool set that really is very nostalgic and, you know, started what was going to be a big trend of people ripping through packs to try to get specific inserts, especially of certain players. 1 in a box. So you really hope you're pulling the Michael Jordan, not the Jeff Malone. Next one is a big one as well. These are all big ones. 93-94, we have got to go with the scoring canes from Fleer Ultra. Again, this is an absolutely iconic Michael Jordan card. This is one of those Jordan cards that I've called a must-own or the must-own Michael Jordan card. Many Jordan collectors that I talk to talk about this being the card that really sparked them to get back into collecting, or was the first one when they get back into collecting that they had to get, or the one from their childhood that they remember that they knew they had to get at some point, or one that people get and say, I know I have to get a higher grade, because these are very difficult to get in high grades. The population drops significantly as you keep stepping up grade to grade to grade. So this is one I've had it in my collection for a long time, sent it off for grading, got a PSA 7, happy with it. You know, maybe I get a higher grade, but some great stars. Again, this set is going to be driven by the Jordan primarily. Shaq has picked up in the last couple of years, but you've got a lot of big stars. You know, the David Robinson's a really cool one, Patrick Ewing, just to name a couple of the guys in there. You know, it's got no shortage of star power. Charles Barkley, you know, David Robinson, again, the list goes on. But this one, the design this time is what really enamored people. Whereas with the Beam Team, it was tough to hit them. You wanted to rip through packs to get them. There are multiple insert sets in Fleer Ultra that next year. But the design of this, there's something about lightning bolts and basketball card inserts that really captivated people, especially in the 90s. But there's a lot of lightning bolts and stuff like that on a lot of insert sets. So really cool stuff, and just one of those that I think when you think about 90s inserts, this is one of the first one that comes to mind for a lot of people. All right, 94-95. Had to go with the Skybox Emotion Intense. So of course, got to have the Jordan here to show off. And 94-95 is an interesting year because it was almost like a lull before the storm. You know, the calm before the storm really hit. So you didn't have extraordinarily rare insert sets yet. You also didn't have that initial buzz of this cool new thing with inserts. And 94-95 was that year where a lot of sets didn't have Jordan because he had retired and then came back late in the season. So that also created a little bit of a lull. So having Jordan in this insert set definitely adds to the iconic nature of it. But that gold foil that's got some rainbow aspects really jumps out, really pops. It's something that just aesthetically stands out amongst all the other insert sets of that year, and I think is really the one that you know, people are surprised to hear you know, that it came from that year. It's something that looks like it's years beyond its time. It's just a beautiful card. If this was a new design now, people would still be enamored with it, I think. So these were 1 in 18 packs, so not as rare as the last two, but still pretty rare. Emotion was a pretty high-end set at that point in time that came in like a little box. So really a unique opening experience. And Emotion eventually through the years is what led to the EX set line. So really cool things there, but this is one of those that I think stands out amongst a lot of 90s inserts if you stack them all next to each other. So also a pretty small checklist, just 10 players in the entire set. So I wish there's a penny in this set, but unfortunately there isn't. All right, next with 95, 96. So we've got to go with the Flair hot numbers. This is absolutely, when you think about 90s, that graffiti style that they use there, really cool stuff. That is an iconic piece. So got the Eddie Jones here. Jordan, again, is going to be the big star in this set. Shaq is another big name in this set. Grant Hill was huge. But again, you've got a lot of big names. Jason Kidd, Charles Barkley, Sean Kemp, Hakeem, Dennis Rodman with the Spurs, which is a unique thing. So this also used the lenticular pattern. I'm not a huge fan of lenticular cards. We've talked about it a number of times on here, but this is one of those, when you get one in hand, it really stands out amongst all the other lenticular cards. The 3D nature of this, they really did a very good job. Those various numbers with different fonts and different colors, really do highlight how the three-dimensional aspect of this card stands out as opposed to some of the others. So, the bright and bold colors, just really cool stuff. Again, it's iconic 90s imagery that they used. The other really cool thing is that the arenas put in here when Gene was talking about it on a podcast, is they have some hidden details in here that are very personal to them, Gene and Earl, the designers of these. So that's a very cool thing, and I would love to try to go through with her and understand some of those little hidden details there. You might not even be able to pick all of them out. I don't know what they are, but very cool that there are some, kind of Easter eggs in here that from the designers. Just a very cool thing that, again, this stands out amongst all the other insert sets from that 95, 96 year. So these were 1 in 36 packs. They were only in Series 1 and only in hobby packs. So again, going back to 1 hit per box for these, when you can only get 1 in a box, again, you're really hoping you get your favorite player or that big star. The next one is iconic for some very specific reasons. So we've got 96, 97 Skybox Autographics. So this is not by any means the first insert set where you had autographs. It is the first insert set that you had multiple different players in it with autographs. And this really set collectors on fire. From the Skybox company, they put this in all of their products. So it wasn't just one product that you could get it in. There were different odds in retail and hobby, and different odds between, Skybox Premium and Z-Force, and you name it. If it was a Skybox product, you could get autographics. The other really cool thing about this is there were certain ones that were short printed more so than others. They also had a blue ink variant, which was significantly more rare than the black ink for most players, but some players, I think Hakeem Olajuwon is one of them, where there are more blue ink than black ink. So some really cool nuances in this set. But the other really neat thing is you didn't have some of the big name stars. So there was no Kobe. It was his rookie year. He did not sign for this set. No Jordans. He was an exclusive to Upper Deck. No Penny Hardaway. He was one of the big stars. He was exclusive to Upper Deck. So some of the biggest names that you had, Grant Hill was probably the biggest star driving this set. Kevin Garnett now is a very hard one to get, very sought after. Hakeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler didn't sign a lot of autographs. Those are very sought after. Two other names that you're probably going to be surprised to hear, Rod Strickland and George McLeod, were very rare for people who are trying to put this set together. Those are two that are some of the most difficult to track down. Why those ones? I have no idea. So we may never know. But, if you're looking at rookies, which they did have some, even though there was no Kobe, Antoine Walker was a big name. Marcus Camby was a big name at the time, 2 of the top picks. But now if we're looking back, some of the bigger names, Steve Nash, Stephon Marbury, Ray Allen are three of the biggest rookies that were in this. Really cool seeing them in their draft day outfits in that autograph. So just, this is one of those that when you talk about Skybox Autographics, this is what people think of for an autographics card. Again, having an autograph card that you could chase is something that didn't happen very often and really didn't start becoming very popular until the set came along. So these, again, blended rate across the products, 1 in 72 packs. So you're looking at getting 2 boxes before you hit one of these. You know, and again, a very large checklist. I think there were 95 players total. So again, you're hoping to get a star, but those stars were pretty hard to hit. Gotta go with another one from 96-97 because it was such an incredible year for inserts. And, you know, I don't think anybody's gonna argue with the Ex2000 Cut Above. Again, this is one of those insert set designs that if you were growing up in the 90s or if you came back and were looking at 90s cards, these jump out. These are something that I know myself and many other kids from the 90s dreamt of. Really cool with that saw blade. That die cut pattern was just radical, absolutely incredible. Putting holofoil on there, very hard to hit, a very cool product as well. You know, so these were also very hard to hit. You know, 1 in 288 packs. Only 10 players in the set. Mostly just huge names. Jordan, Penny, gonna be 2 of the top guys. You know, unfortunately, a guy like Glenn Robinson, who was a big name at the time, didn't pan out, you know, but Hakeem's in the set as well. You know, Kevin Garnett, Allen Iverson in his rookie season, you know, so the list of 10 is pretty packed, with, you know, maybe 1 or 2 exceptions there. So, very, very iconic set from the 90s for inserts. Couldn't leave these out. And again, in this, you could also get autographics from the EX2000 set. So really cool stuff there. All right, jumping into 97-98. We've talked about this a lot. We have got the EX2001 Jambalaya. The design speaks for itself. It is absolutely breathtaking. And this is one that, again, very rare, but it is something that has been attempted to be duplicated, to be replicated over the years. I don't think any of the, you know, retro versions of this even sniff at being even close to this. Some of them tried to get close. I don't think you'll ever be able to capture the magic of these. We'll see when the metal product releases for, I think it's going to be a metal championship with the arenas back in the driver's seat of the design there. We'll see. I think they have a Jambalaya coming that's kind of reimagined. We'll see how that does, but I don't think it, you know, it's like catching lightning in a bottle. You can't do it twice. So very, very cool, very 90s, great photographs, which I think is another piece that adds to these great checklists. Again, you know, Jordan, Penny, you've got Kevin Garnett, you've got Kobe Bryant this time, Shaq's in there. You do have some of the guys that were pretty big names at the point in time because they were rookies. You know, Tim Duncan has panned out, but Keith Van Horn, not so much. You know, so unfortunate, but if you're a Keith Van Horn collector, you're probably pretty psyched that he's in here. So very cool stuff. And the odds here really, really, really difficult to pull at 1 in 720 packs. So astronomical odds. You know, the values reflect how scarce they are. People have speculated about the print runs. You know, the world may never know truly how many of these were released of each player, but you know, a card that I had always dreamt of as a kid. Still can't believe that this card's in my collection. All right, 98-99 was difficult for me to pick just one, but I had to go with the EX Century Dunk and Go Nuts. Really cool all acetate card with some holofoil on there, and of course, I think it's added to the iconic nature of it that they were playing on the Dunk and Donuts theme. You know, they really did rip off their font. And again, another story from the arenas, Gene shared that they did get a cease and desist order for trademark infringement from Dunkin' Donuts because of this design. You know, so that I think that also adds to it because, you know, especially in the Northeast, but I think probably most parts of America, Dunkin' Donuts is a very well-known brand, especially for coffee lovers on the go. So, that all adds to it, but also, you know, some of the photographs, you know, I really think about the Vince Carter in this set. Really cool being his rookie year. The Jordan's a big one. Iverson's one I would love to get. The Penny, of course, I had to get, you know, and I got this a while ago from our friend Cardboard Chronicles, Josh. So really happy to have this. And also the very tricky thing with these is making sure that you get one that is crystal clear. You want them to be as clear as possible. You want it to be like a clean piece of glass, because a lot of them have turned yellow over the years. And from what I can deduce, from what I've heard from people, if they have started to turn yellow, it's probably gonna stay at least as bad as it is, if not get a little bit worse. If they have not started to turn yellow, you're probably in the clear. But some of these are almost golden. So when you see people talking about these and they talk about the gold parallel, it is because they have oxidized, they have turned. It is not a good thing. People do not want that. You want it to be clear. You want it to be something that you can see completely through, unobstructed. So be on the lookout for that. Dunk and Go Nuts. These also were pretty hard to pull, not as hard as some of the last ones, but 1 in 36 packs. You know, so these boxes did not contain 36 packs, so it is less than 1 per box, even though some of the older stuff, 36 packs was pretty common. In this point, it was not. So, really cool card. Love those. I skipped over one other one from 97-98, so let's do a little rewind and go back. Have to talk about the game jersey cards from Upper Deck. Those cards were the first NBA cards where they actually had a piece of a jersey, a game-worn jersey from the players. And again, the players that they had in here were just the top stars or some of the young guys that, you know, we all know and love today. So of course, Michael Jordan, going to be top of the list there. They had a piece of his All-Star jersey, and they also had 23 of them that he autographed. Which is probably one of the most, if not the most iconic Jordan insert card, and probably the most valuable as well, if I'm going to guess. But I'd have to look at recent comps. I think Golden Auction had one sell in the last year, so maybe we can take a look at what that sold for. I can't remember off the top of my head. But those were also astronomical odds to pull. 1 in 2,500 packs. So you hit any of those, you're very excited. Penny had 2 in the set. So that's something that I think was really cool, that they did a home and away version. There's one other player that had a home and away version, and I'm drawing a blank. I want to say it was Grant Hill, but I'm not 100% positive that that was who it was. But Hakeem Olajuwon's another guy that's in this set, David Robinson, Allen Iverson, Antoine Walker. So a lot of the names that everybody knew and loved in the 90s. So, you know, I think that between the autographics and the game jerseys, those are really, you know, 1A and 1B, I think, for 97-98. And I think you could definitely make an argument for the game jersey, but I think the autograph is a little bit more up there, at least for me. But let me know down in the comments if you disagree. If you think the game jersey is higher than the autographics, I can't argue with you there. All right, jumping back, going to 99-2000, the end of the decade, and we have got Upper Deck Retro Incredible. So this set is not revolutionary in any way of having autographs. It's not the most rare, you know, in even the design aspect, there's nothing that is too crazy. You saw some stuff like this, very similar in design for autographs from Upper Deck in 98, 99. So why is this on the list? Well, this is the first time that we saw veteran, Hall of Fame veterans alongside current stars in the NBA signing autographs. So a checklist of just 24, and these were 1 in 23 packs. And at that point, the boxes were lunch boxes, and I think that they had 23 packs. I think it was 1 per lunch box, so to speak. But you look at the checklist that there was. Obviously, you've got the Jordan, you've got a Penny Hardaway, you've got Vince Carter, who was a young star at that point in time. But then you look at, you had Bill Russell. Wilt Chamberlain is one of the very recognizable ones from the set. Jerry West was in there. Bob Cousy, you know, this is an Alvin Hayes. So some of the absolute top tier talent from years gone by that, you know, people still know and love and cherish alongside players that were still playing, or in Jordan's case, that had just finished playing their professional careers that people also knew and loved. I think that's what makes it iconic. I mean, if you show that Wilt Chamberlain autograph to people, they know how important that card is. Even if they don't know how rare it is or how valuable it is, it's a Wilt Chamberlain autograph. You know, very, very rare to see something like that that you could pull from a pack.
because he didn't sign during his playing years for any trading card companies. So that is what I think makes this set iconic. There are also certain cards in this set that were numbered to the player's jersey number. You know, so some of those players like Penny, that only had the number 1. It's a 1 of 1. So if you're holding on to that 1 of 1, it's something that you're probably not going to let go, if at all. It's not going to be easy to let go. So really cool stuff, really rare in that sense, but also something iconic because of the players that were in this one.
All right, so that's the top 10 plus a little extra most iconic insert sets from the 90s. One thing that I probably will put in the footnotes, but that I didn't say, is that I was looking at only insert sets for this. No parallels. We will do a separate video later on, so be on the lookout for that video of the most iconic parallels. But stuff like PMGs, refractors, credentials, star rubies did not make this list because those are parallels and not insert sets. So we just looked at insert sets, and you know, we've talked about those in the past and what defines an insert set. So if you've got a question on what defines an insert set versus a parallel, you know, there's a lot of nuance into that. Let me know, drop a comment and ask, or shoot me a DM if you want to, and we can go into the history and all that. But there's a lot there, and we've talked about it in the past, and if you've stayed on this long, you've probably heard it before. So let me know down in the comments. So I want your opinion on this list. So I went, again, year by year, with the exception of 2 years where I added 2 in there, and picked out the most iconic. So let me know, what do you think is the most iconic insert set? Just pick one from the 90s, and let me know if there were any from the individual years that you disagree with me and there is something else that you think should have been listed as more iconic over the one that I listed. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I try to be as thorough as possible, as thoughtful as possible, again, using that definition of what iconic means by the Merriam-Webster definition. So again, that's a term that gets thrown around, kind of used loosely a lot of times, and I think going back to that definition of what it truly means, something that's clearly and easily recognizable and distinguishable, something that is excellent. I think these are all excellent for various reasons. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss any videos in the future. New videos dropping once, sometimes twice a week. We're looking at pack openings, looks into my PC, interviews with collectors, and so much more. Thanks. We'll talk later.